Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our Lucha Underground review. And this episode changed everything. Life has overcome death, and my God, people, Aztec Warfare next week. You want to talk about being bigger than last year. Just everything, man. Everything. This show is consistently one of the best things week to week, and tonight was no exception. But don't take my word for it. Ashton, what do you think of tonight's episode?
This episode was one of those kind of rare episodes where you get everything. We got the exact stories that we needed follow up on. We got a great match that was more story driven, and we got two phenomenal matches from beginning to end. This was a great show. Will I say it's the best episode of the season so far? No, but that's only because of how amazing last week's show was. This was still a great show.
Exactly. And just think about that. No, it wasn't as good as last week, but it was still amazing. Like, on its own merits. It seems like each and every episode of this show hits it out of the park in one way or another, or even just consistently all the way through. Just amazing how this show performs. And dude, Aztec Warfare next week may unseat, what was it, episode 7 that you said is the best so far this season.
That is very much true, for sure.
Oh my God. But hey, let's stop talking about it. Let's start being about it with our first segment, Heat of the Night. And I kind of want to add the subtitle, haha, good joke, because I have nothing to complain about again. We are, what is this now, the 8th episode, right? Like, again. No Heats of the Night. Just unbelievable. And again, my only nitpick would be...
Has there ever been an 8-week run of WWE content without Heats of the Night?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I mean, realistically, I don't even know if we've ever gotten up to 4 with WWE, but 8 is just completely out of the question.
Just unbelievable. Absolutely unreal. And here's the thing. When we say that, we mean both sides. Because, yeah, maybe there are a lot of times that I give WWE a pass. You have the far more critical eye, I think, that you can really extrapolate problems. But for both of us to say, no, Lucha, you pass. Like, we're human metal detectors asking what could go through and what can't. And Lucha Underground just consistently passes through. Just unbelievable, the consistency of this show. So, yeah,
it's
no
incredible.
Heats tonight.
It's
no
incredible.
nitpicks. Do I even have to ask you the question?
Well, no, I don't have any Heats of the Night, but I do want to just kind of add, I think that the shortening of the season, as painful as it's going to be after episode 26 when we know we have another hiatus, I think it's done wonders for the show itself, because now they're cramming basically 50% more content into every episode, because we went from 39 down to 26. We got cut by a third, and now we have to take that extra third and jam it in and just kind of spread it out throughout our episodes that we have now.
Yeah, I think what's so great about Lucha Underground, and I would say this is the first season, I think you'd be inclined to agree, knowing how much room they have to work with, they always get the pacing on point.
Yeah.
We had 39 episodes of the first season, this is how we'll pace it. Now we only have 26, we up the pacing a little bit to compensate, and I don't think they've missed a beat.
I think that there's significantly less filler this season, because last season, you know, it felt like, at least for the first, like, I would say 20 to 25 or so episodes, every week there would be a match that would start the show, and it was always the first match that didn't really have a huge impact on the universe itself. Whereas now this season, every single segment, which includes every single match, has meaning.
Exactly. No wasted motion. And I love it, because normally you'd think, and especially with Lucha Underground, because their stories aren't always so simple to understand. If you haven't gotten that by now, listen to this podcast, which if you are a first-time viewer, welcome, take a seat, get comfortable. But, you know...
welcome to your new favorite podcast.
Exactly, because you're never leaving us ever. But yeah, you know that they really do get complex, and the mythos is just so large and impressive. But you know what? I never feel like my head is spinning. And if I do, like, it's in a good way. I'm just saying, like, in terms of, oh, it's too much content coming at me at one time, I feel like I can handle it. Lucha Underground trusts me to handle it. And the result is just a beautiful, beautiful product. So, yeah, let's just get right into it. Do you have anything else you want to add?
The only wrestling company on the planet right now that refuses to insult their viewers' intelligence.
Exactly. And we thank them for that. So, with that said, let us get right into our Lucha Underground review. And partner, how do we open this one up?
This is the weirdest opening segment in Lucha Underground history, I think, because we
definitely.
open with Fenix in, I don't know if it was dark at first or if the lights went out, but I think it was dark at first, in a dark room, in the locker room, and Catrina shows up, and she tells him that she was after his powers and the eternal power of life. And then Fenix kind of reached out to her, and she said she wonders if she made the wrong choice. And then we get a makeout session, and she said that Mill would destroy Fenix, but that Fenix would bring her back from the dead. So this was really, I feel like we need to rewatch and deconstruct this promo a bunch of times, because I feel like this was really heavily laced with metaphor.
I completely agree with you. You know, it's funny because I could see in our Lucha Rewatch series our positions being drastically different from what they're going to be tonight.
Yeah.
As far as
that's what we do that series for, though, brother.
Exactly. You know, more knowledge. You know, you mature on the product. Yeah. But as far as tonight goes, I mean, just and this is saying a lot, given monsters and gods and this, that, and the other. This is probably the most perplexing thing I personally have seen on this show.
Yeah, that's the crazy. Well, and the thing too there is you say oh, these gods and all this mystery and stuff, but everything up until this point, if it ever was mysterious, it was only in questions that we raised ourselves. It was always what is Dario Cueto? What is Catrina? Are they mortal? Are they immortal? Is Catrina a succubus? All the stuff that, even though it's been lightly hinted at, we've never really been peppered with this much metaphor before.
Exactly. And, you know, I think, again, and I said this on Live Reactions tonight, there's so much poetry when you bring these forces together, because Fenix is a man of 1,000 lives, Muertes is a man of 1,000 deaths, but it's not just their adversarial relationship. But then when you factor Catrina into it, that, I think, gives it that extra bit of nuance, that extra bit of fascination, because it's okay, I made a choice, however long ago or what have you, to be with death, and then I got a taste of life with Fenix, but then I chose to go back to death, and now that seems to weigh on her. Yeah, she might regret it, which I think this does another interesting thing, too, which you and I didn't bother to say in Live Reactions, but it's funny, because I'm sure we'll be using this word a lot tonight. I think that humanizes Catrina a little bit.
Yeah.
Grappling with this regret, grappling with these emotions that are clearly very passionate, because let me tell you something.
I will say, though, there are a lot of literary examples of supernatural beings that still have human urges and desires.
Right. I mean, you see it all the time in Greek mythology.
Yeah.
Is the thing I immediately think of. Gods coming down to Earth, or goddess coming down to Earth.
Right. And you say
humans.
Greek mythology, and even if you want to go to Marvel, I know that's not technically mythology, but for example, the strongest being in the universe, Thanos, is on this constant conquest for power because he's in love with the living embodiment of death.
Right. So, to me, you see that, and you see that they've done that with Catrina here. They've taken a woman that, again, either a succubus, some kind of manifestation of death, but they've imbued in her, human characteristics.
Right.
And that, I think, just works so well, because let me tell you something, that kiss that those two shared, damn, son. All right? She's definitely got a lot on her mind. And Fenix, though, let's notice something, too. Phoenix, I think, may feel something for her or be gravitated towards her, because when she teleports away after they share that kiss, and she just imparts to him, no, we're just going to destroy you, he looks frustrated, either at himself for getting suckered in again into that kiss, but see, I never really take anything at face value. It could be at himself, and I could very easily buy that. I think that's kind of what they laid out. Or it could be, why is she out of my reach? Why are things the way that they are? And that's where
it's almost like that forbidden love. It's almost Romeo and Juliet-esque.
Yeah, except you know what? And this is what I love about it, because
except in this case, Juliet has a massive 6'1", 265-pound monster that she's also locking lips with.
Exactly. I mean, I love this, man. I'm a sucker for stories like these, and I wouldn't even necessarily call this, and I know you wouldn't either, I wouldn't necessarily call this a love story, but there's an interesting element at play here, that I'm very intrigued.
It's like this is a love story the same way that Deadpool was a love story.
Well, yeah, I mean, and here's the thing, though, right? Whatever Katrina is feeling for Phoenix or whatever feelings she may have for Mil, like all of this, because normally we just said Romeo and Juliet, right? They're mortals and it's a human romance, so the worst that can happen, well, the worst that happened for them is they both died. So I know I'm not like taking that softly, but with this collection of people, Mil, Katrina, Phoenix, whatever happens here, I could see having wide mythological implications, like affecting an entire universe, not just the people involved.
Yeah.
And that's
it's
really
nowhere near
thing.
As petty as Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, no, I was going to use the word juvenile earlier,
Yeah.
but petty works too. Because I feel like whatever happens with this particular party of people, like everybody's going to feel it. And that I think is what makes it so interesting, because it's not even like, oh, I ship these two or I ship these two, which I mean, I do secretly have my ships, that's actually kind of my inside voice, but you realize that whoever you're cheering for, I mean, you may be fucked, whoever comes out on top. But yeah, really great opening segment, and I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward already, because of segments like these, to doing our Lucha Rewatch series again. Because I really don't have much to say for the moment, but I think when you and I really unpack that scene and take our time in this and that, we'll have a lot more to say. But for now, like, it just, again, gave me more questions than answers. But that's what makes Lucha Underground so good. That's how you keep a show going, people. Oh, my God, I love it.
Yeah. All right, well, after we get this segment, we went right into our first match of the night, the Trios Championship match. We have Ivelisse, Angelico, and Son of Havoc in the ring, and then out comes Katrina with the Disciples of Death. And the stipulation is, of course, that if the Disciples of Death win, then Ivelisse, Angelico, and Son of Havoc leave the temple for good.
Yeah, it's careers versus championships here.
Can I say it, though, John? This was decisive.
Yeah, it was.
Like, it really did feel like Team Havoc, or I guess they're starting to call them now the Unlikely Trio, never really lost control of this match.
No, they didn't. And the funny thing, Ashton, I had a line in here in live reactions, and I said the only reason this team lost the championship in the first place was because of Katrina at Ultima Lucha. So, yeah. And like you've been kind of building on, because I give you all credit for this, because you've been kind of spearheading this portion of commentary, saying that the DOD have never really been legitimate champions. Yeah. They haven't had to defend the titles. They won the titles in the first place thanks to Katrina. So you go into this match thinking, and you can't even use the excuse, oh, well, Team Havoc doesn't like each other, because they squashed their shit. They had a little bit of a squabble last
And they even established that. If you didn't believe that because it was implied by the end of season 1, they straight up said at the beginning of this season, literally in episode 1, we were arguing with each other for months and we've finally gotten past it.
Exactly. And look at the well-oiled machine they are because they've gotten past it.
Yeah.
And to me now...
Cueto created a monster.
Exactly, because now what this says to me is you've firmly established here, Team Havoc was the legitimate team this whole time. DOD are nothing but pawns. I mean, I like the look, I love the aesthetic of the team, and I love what they can do together, and this is a fun match, so I don't mean to denigrate them in that way, but you were never meant to take them seriously as champions.
Yeah.
I think that, I think they were only champions because they were serving a higher purpose, that purpose being helping Death and Muertes and Katrina have entire control of the temple. So, and see, this leads to other interesting questions, because what I love about Lucha Underground is sometimes you get matches, and you may even say all matches, but I definitely know you get some matches that aren't self-contained. Because to me, now that Ivelisse is a 2-time Trios champion, good on ya, she may still gun for Katrina, because we know they've had interactions this season. And Ivelisse has said, I'm going to finish this, and then I'm coming for you, bitch. Yep. And now she's got the Trios title back.
That might even start next week if Ivelisse can make it to number 20 when Mil comes out.
Yeah, it just might. She might have a stare down with Katrina, or Katrina might get involved, and Ivelisse might do something about that, which we will have quite a bit to say about Aztec Warfare, given the revelation that was made about it for next week.
But yeah, there were quite a few Aztec Warfare revelations that happened this week.
Oh, dude, next week is
3
everything.
that I can think of right off the top of my head.
Next week is everything, dude.
Yeah.
And I will say this. I mean, and I just want to put this out there because I will be so ready to take credit for it if it happens. In our Evil East Luchador Spotlight, I did say her Katrina Ultima Lucha too. So we'll see. We'll see.
That is true. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, well, and that's the thing too, is we don't know if Cueto is going to get back control of the temple, and if he does, that becomes open season, brother.
Oh my god. And again, we'll talk about that later, but for now, this was a fun matchup.
I could see Cueto, like, if he gets back control of the temple, I could see him, like, telling Katrina, you know, this is my temple now, and if you want to stick around, you're going to have to do what everybody else here does, and that's fight.
Exactly. So,
and she's a decent wrestler too, so she could hold her own.
Yeah, I mean, for a match like that against Evil East, where I think it would have a back and forth, don't get me wrong, maybe they would even want to put a no DQ stipulation just to kind of accentuate any positives and hide any negatives.
Yeah.
But I think those two women could do something very similar, because to me, and I'm just going to be honest here, this wouldn't be a match that I would be grading on in-ring merits, because I just think the story leading up to this has just been so wonderful that I just think, you know, as long as we get, in my mind,
I mean, the kind of match that we would get between Evil East and Katrina, you know, I wouldn't be expecting arm drags and wrist locks. I would be expecting a brawl.
Exactly. And to me, like, personally, I obviously would have Evil East go over in that affair.
Of course.
But just, yeah, I mean, the way you would execute the story, I think would be very telling. And
Because, I mean, maybe they could do, like, a switcheroo and really establish Katrina as, like, she got where she is because she's a badass.
That's true. But, I mean, that's purely speculative. What's reality is that Team Havoc is now 2-time Trios champions, which, again, raises other questions, because I don't think DOD is going to win in any kind of rematch or anything like that.
No.
What Trios team is going to step up?
Yeah, I mean, Katrina said, there are no rematch clauses in my temple, so...
Exactly. You got to earn your way back, so either DOD would have to win some matches, or we just get a new team. And can I just say, this may be the only mention I make of this show, maybe not, maybe we'll have some things to say about it, because it just seemed like it was a huge success. I mean, PJ Black, Jack Evans, and Johnny Mundo did team up at Austin Warfare.
Yes!
So, you know, look, I mean, obviously everybody knows my number one Mundo goal, world title and markout video, but I just want to see him with some gold, period, so even if he has to carry those two on his back, you know, that'd be fine with me.
Excuse me?
Look, you know what I said, and you know it's correct, so watch your tone.
It's
anyway,
funny. I was just getting ready to say, like, I love Johnny Mundo, but I was really hoping that Angelico would be in his spot on that team, because I think, like, Angelico and Jack Evans have that pass together, and then Angelico and PJ Black are both South Africans, so, like, all three of them have a lot in common. And no, they're putting Mundo there, so congratulations, John.
Yeah, I mean, you know, personally, dude, I wanted Angelico to be there for the exact reasons you gave, and we don't even know if this is going to be, like, a long-term thing or what the season holds for
we know
any of those
two
guys.
of the three are together.
Right. So
and
we just
you would have to
that
imagine if Johnny Mundo would be as a part of a team, Taya would have to join him, right?
That's a powerful tandem there. Wow. I mean, we'll see. I mean, we will see. I mean, again, it seems like they're on.
Maybe they make up with Cage and they become a trio. That would be a powerhouse.
That would be amazing. But yeah, I mean,
so you admit you do like Cage.
Yeah, well, look, I'll admit that Cage, and I've said this before, so it's not me backpedaling, is an incredible athlete. He's still a complete idiot and needs leadership, which is where Mundo would come in. But he's an incredible athlete. He just needs to be molded.
Taya's a leader.
Oh, Taya's a leader, absolutely. I mean, look, she took it to Cage, all right, last week. She held her own. And she did not tap out to Evil East at Austin Warfare. She was searching for her contact lens. It's the last time I'm going to say it. And she was checking the sturdiness of the ring. Thank you, Ella Says Stuff on Twitter. You're amazing. So, yeah, sturdiness of the ring, contact lens, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. But, yeah, congratulations to Team Havoc. Evil East is on a roll right now. Hell, she may be a future world champion. I mean, we don't know. Can she climb higher than she already has? I think so. She is a stud in there. So just hats off to her.
Absolutely. So then after the unlikely trio win back the trio championships that they only ever lost to the Disciples of Death because of Katrina, we have a backstage cinematic with Johnny Mundo and Prince Puma. Puma training, punching a punching bag, and Mundo starts talking about Aztec Warfare, and I mean, Puma doesn't talk, so obviously it was a very one-sided conversation, but then Mundo starts using the punching bag as well, and then I didn't catch exactly what he said, but I'm assuming it was something insulting to Puma, because then Puma was frustrated enough that he punched a freaking hole through the punching bag, which was another scene that we got to see in the season 2 trailer.
Yeah, I love this. I mean, obviously. Yeah, I don't think anybody's really surprised by that. This was great. I love that Lucha Underground really came out in terms of promoting Aztec Warfare with guns blazing, because they already did enough big stuff, and we've already kind of touched on some of that. We haven't even gotten to the best of it yet, but even the smaller stuff, like going back to these two and their history in Lucha Underground, because they were so intertwined in the first season. To be honest, like, I haven't gotten sick of it. I got goosebumps seeing these two share the screen together for the first time in season 2.
Yep.
That was amazing. And you know what? That's another thing, too. This is the first time in season 2 they shared the screen, so it took 8 episodes for them to do it, plus all that time off prior from season 1. So they've gotten a lot of space from each other.
And I love, too, that this kind of reminded us that these guys are in the same universe, because for the longest time now, it's been like Puma has been in his own separate universe with Pentagon. Mundo has been in his own separate universe with Taya and Cage, and now they meet up, and it's like, oh shit, this is all happening in the same place.
Exactly. And really, I can tell you what Johnny Mundo said. He was recounting Aztec Warfare last year, which I really love that, saying that I went easy on you, and you got the better of me. You got me. Not this year. This year, I'm putting you down because this is my temple, and I'm going to be the number 1 contender, and then I'm going to go on to win the Lucha Underground Championship because I want that title. And damn it, I want him to have that title too. I'm sick and tired of these talented motherfuckers always getting in front of the line. But yeah, like, he's just, talking that smack. And Puma, I think, realizing his territory was being challenged, punches a hole through the punching bag. Look, I mean, I'm Johnny Scumbag and I'm Johnny Mundo for life, but you'd have to be an idiot not to see how talented Prince Puma is. The guy's a freak in there. So I'm going to be interested to see those two square off again in Aztec Warfare next week, because, dude, I got goose pimples just thinking about it on my arm. It's crazy, man. So anything else you want to say about this segment?
I don't think so, man. This is really intense. But, I mean, you want to talk about intense. Up next, we had Rey Mysterio Jr. in their little hideout with Dragon Azteca Jr. And, they're taking drinks of the finest Lucha El Rey sponsored alcohol. And they were invited, man. They were invited to Aztec Warfare, and they're both going. They're both going to go. They're both going to Aztec Warfare, and they're going to compete now that we know by the end of the night, for the Lucha Underground Championship.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what, though? Like, I'm excited for Rey Mysterio fans because now this will be episode 9 Aztec Warfare.
That's the same episode Aztec Warfare was in season 1. How about that?
I have to believe that was deliberate. But then again, I'd want to believe everything Lucha Underground does is deliberate. So yeah, after 9 episodes, you'll see Rey Mysterio compete. But really what I'm more curious about is seeing El Dragon Azteca Jr. in the ring. Like, that's going to really be something. Because you and I know extensively from WWE and a little bit of AAA when he left how Rey Mysterio works. I don't know if he'll have changed it up at all for Lucha Underground. I doubt it. But
even if he would have changed it up between WWE and Lucha Underground, I think we would have seen the changes because we've seen him in AAA.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, really, the big question mark for me in terms of intrigue and interest, El Dragon Azteca Jr., like, how does he work? What's his repertoire like? Just very interesting to me. And knowing it's for the world title, oh, God, so excited. All right, so, yeah, this is great stuff. I mean, if it's not El Rey Liquor, it ain't worth crap. So at least I got some fine stuff.
Yeah.
And, yeah, we know it's going down, man. Next week, oh, my God. People, I'm warning you now. I may not have a voice, and Ashton, I mean, I don't know if you've been looking to do the walls of your house for a while, but you may be painting your walls with the brain matter. This may blow both of our minds next week. Oh my God, they're coming out guns blazing, man.
Yeah.
So
everything is happening next week.
Yeah, man.
It's like everything is colliding, man. Like we found out later tonight, Phoenix is the champion, and he's coming out at 1, and Mill's coming out at 20. And I mean, we have Mysterio and El Dragon Azteca showing up. We would find out in a segment not far from this one that another certain monster is going to be showing up. Like the next week is going to be just the frickin' culmination of everything so far in the season. It feels like.
Right. Yes, so much is coming to a head. I like this segment. I felt like it didn't really linger. You know, it wasn't about training or this and that. It was just about saying, like, hey, you know, it's time. And both of these guys are coming in one episode. Like, again, we really can't say it enough. It may seem redundant, but everything is happening. They are packing such a punch with this episode next week. And I think this segment was really indicative of that. That really fleshed that idea out. That, yeah, like, next week is really can't miss for everybody that's into Lucha Underground.
Yeah. Man, it's one of those things where I feel like we need to go on, like, we always call ourselves the Lucha evangelists. Well, we need to go on some frickin' missions to spread the word about Aztec Warfare for next week, because we need to get as many eyes on that show as humanly possible.
Absolutely. We need to go on a pilgrimage and just spread the truth to everybody.
And especially, too, because Ray's going to be there, and that'll be kind of a good hook for more casual fans that are more familiar with WWE.
Exactly. Yeah, we got to
get to watch him get murdered by Mill and Matanza.
I know, right? Oh my God. All right, man. I got nothing more to say about this segment. Do you?
Up next was Tahano versus Chavo Guerrero Jr., and this was a one-on-one match because it was a bullrope match, and they were tied together by a long rope. And as soon as the bell rang, the crew got up on the apron, and it looked like they were going to come in to interfere, and then they looked at each other, looked at Chavo, looked at each other, and then just dropped off and left. They are not having any more of Chavo's shit. They're done.
Yeah, they abandoned Chavo high and dry. Chavo was freaking out, like, how could you do this to me? To which their response was, well, just by walking to the back, so I guess very easily. I mentioned to Ashton in live reactions that I find this interesting because we know that Cortez Castro is really Officer Reyes. So I said to him, hey, how much do you want to bet that when they went to the back, Mr. Cisco got booked? You know, he got cuffed and he, you know, got taken in because we know he ends up in jail. So I'm wondering if Officer Reyes made it seem like, okay, Mr. Cisco, you know what, we're free men now, you want to go get drinks or something, and he directs him to a police vehicle. I mean, obviously we didn't see any of this, so this is purely conjecture, but it wouldn't surprise me. So Officer Reyes, not only does he keep his cover, but if I'm right, he's gotten at least one part of the operation done. So very interesting, but then again, you know, could be wrong, we'll see. But as far as this matchup goes, you know what, Ashton? I thought it was perfect. You know, I really don't have any qualms about it. I feel like it got the right amount of length. You know, they had a nice little back and forth, so Chavo didn't get completely dominated. But I think we all knew that this match was Tejano's to win because, you know, it had the bullrope stipulation. This was his rivalry to kind of close out. And ultimately he does, after the sit-out powerbomb, you know, get the 3 count. So Tahano has quite a bit of momentum for Aztec Warfare next week.
Yeah, and he's going to need it, too, because there's some stiff-ass competition.
Oh, my God. This Aztec Warfare is stacked.
Yeah.
Okay, because
last year's Aztec Warfare was good, but, you know, there were still some people in it that we felt like didn't really have a shot. You know, like Mariachi Loco is in there, and Mascarita, and Pimpinella, and some of the kind of the lower card acts. I feel like even though there might be some of those this year, it's going to be just stacked with main eventers. Like, just thinking off the top of my head, I imagine, well, we already know 4 people if you include Ray and Azteca. So then I think we also have to include, obviously, like you said, Tahano and probably Chavo, Mundo, Cage, Puma, Cuerno. We're up to 10 already.
Exactly.
Like, we have 10 people, and that's literally just me randomly naming guys and people that I would consider main eventers. I imagine Sexy Star, the Mac, Marty, and possibly even Mariposa will be in it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. I mean, I think our next segment, which is the perfect transition, was Mill beating the shit out of the Disciples of Death. So they might be absent next week. They might be absent from life. They might be dead or deader, I guess you could say. So I think that might eliminate them. But then do we get the unlikely trio? Are Ivelisse and Angelico and Son of Havoc going to be in the match?
I would have to think so.
Because if so, that puts us up to 17, and then there are only 3 people left. Like, who's going to fill it out, you know?
I can only begin to imagine, my friend.
Aerostar, Drago, right there's 2 more.
Right, and then maybe
And then
Jack Evans.
Jack Evans and well, PJ Black you can maybe put in
Well,
there.
see, here's my
Kill
thing.
Shot might make it.
Kill Shot, definitely. I just think Jack Evans makes more sense, not because I have anything against PJ Black, but PJ Black hasn't won a match yet, whereas Jack Evans is 2-0.
Oh, I know that. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, Kill Shot you could say the same for.
Yeah, he hasn't won a match this season either, has he?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when are we going to get those vignettes with him that he was so excited about?
I know, dude. It's going to be amazing. That's the great thing, too, is that they're slowly but surely over the course of the season showing us little by little from the trailer. I love that.
I know, right? And the crazy thing is,
like tonight. I'm sorry. You go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and the great thing is, just as a small joke, unlike most movies or big-time productions like Lucha Underground, feels like the best stuff isn't even in the trailer.
Right.
So
but then what I was going to say is, like, tonight we got the Puma punching through the bag scene, and we got the Mill beating the hell out of the Disciples of Death scene. So 2 scenes from the trailer were on tonight.
Yeah, man. Slowly teasing it out, slowly dishing it out. It's great, man.
I love that. I love that they didn't, well, and I shouldn't say for sure that they didn't because we haven't seen everything yet, but it feels like they didn't really go out of their way to shoot scenes exclusively for the trailer. They just used scenes from the season to make the trailer.
Right.
I love that. That's so unique to them because I feel like a lot of like movies and TV shows and stuff shoot scenes exclusively for the trailer that either end up not making the movie or were going to be in the movie but end up getting cut or were never intended to be in the movie in the first place because they were only shot to be in the trailer.
Right.
So I love this.
Yeah, man. Lucha Underground, man, just does everything next level.
But we were talking about Mill beating the crap out of the Disciples of Death, and, the question, I think if I am remembering correctly, when he gave the big backhand to Sinestro de la Muerte, it seemed like the electricity that the Disciples of Death kind of constantly have going on was there, and then it went out like a light. So maybe that might have been their way of telling us, like, okay, the Disciples of Death served their purpose, and now they are gone. They're dead. They're no longer. They were death, but now they're just non-existent. They're done.
Which, can you remind me again who portrayed the Disciples of Death under the masks?
I think that Trece, I believe, was Ricky Mandel.
Okay.
I want to say Barrio Negro was El Mariachi Loco. And then I think that Sinestro de la Muerte was Argenis.
Okay. So, first of all, P.W. Gregory might actually be shedding a tear in joy because Mariachi Loco is free. So, maybe we'll finally get to see him again. Because now, do you think that's what'll happen? Maybe we'll see Ricky Mandel, Mariachi Loco, and Argenis again now that they've fulfilled this role. They can go back to their old roles.
Maybe. I mean, I doubt they'll be on next week because I feel like next week's, it's going to be the big Aztec Warfare, and I doubt we're going to get any lower card guys on that. But I do think that now is a really good opportunity to bring those guys back because they never died or anything. They just got their arms broken by Pentagon. So if you want to say, for some of them that it just took them this long to heal, that could work. Or, if you want to make it canon and say that they were possessed by Catrina and were used to do her bidding and that they were trios champions because of that, they could make that canon and that could work too.
See, I would do that only because we actually did see most of the guys, if not all of them, return at one point, but then I think a Tahano program that he was in took precedence because there was a big fatal four-way. I think everybody in it had their arm broken by Pentagon.
Yeah.
But then that match never even happened, I think, because Tahano ran out or something.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, just beat the crap
And you know
out
what?
of him, so.
I'm looking it up right now, and the only guy that I got right was Trece. That was Ricky Mandel, but I got Barrio Negro and Sinestro de la Muerte mixed up. Barrio Negro is Argenis. Sinestro de la Muerte is El Mariachi Loco.
Okay. I'm actually kind of hoping we see them revert back to their old roles because especially Argenis, I think, has an
you and
upside
I both
of
like Argenis as an in-ring worker.
Yeah, and Ricky Mandel, I think, has a good look. So,
P.W.
Gregory might be thinking...
P.W. Gregory needs to hear that song.
Exactly. So I was going to say P.W. Gregory might be thinking, but guys, what about Mariachi? You like him too, right? We'll hear him play. We promise. We'll hear him play, and I'm sure he plays beautifully. So we got you, man. We got you. So, yeah, Mill lays waste to them. I like that Sinestro actually tried to get a shot in on Mill, but that just, was for naught.
Well, one of them did actually punch him, I think.
That was Sinestro, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the purple mask that punched him.
obviously it did nothing, like you said, but it's like they it's weird to see them fighting back. I feel like if they were like true puppets, that they would just kind of take it and maybe just like lay over and die.
Exactly. Just you can wilt now. You can wilt and die.
Yeah.
Mill took care of them, and I guess he's moved on. Just gonna focus on being world champion, which we'll talk about how that ended up too.
Yeah.
So there you go. Oh man.
Okay, now we need to collect ourselves a little bit because up next was the hypest scene that wasn't a match. We're at Dario Cueto's new temple, 375 miles away from the temple, from the Boyle Heights. And we hear Matanza slaughtering more people in the new temple. And Dario says that Matanza was ready and that it might be time to go back and take back his temple. So he looks at the key, he takes it off his neck, and he opens the door. And there's Matanza in his full freaking glory with the mask that we already saw a glimpse of in the final 5 minutes of Ultima Lucha from season 1. But he's wearing like an awesome, I think it was either green or blue, I don't remember, jumpsuit. Just covered head to toe in blood with a freaking shiv sticking out of one of his ribs because he got stabbed but didn't even know, or at least didn't care.
That's a badass. Oh, I'm stabbed? That's inconvenient. Keeps walking. Like...
Oh, no. I'm stabbed? That would be inconvenient if I wasn't a god.
Exactly. You mortal people and the things that kill you that are barely even a mosquito to me. Oh my god. This guy Matanza, man. And I gotta say, for me personally, because you and I talked about it a lot in season 1, I hope we're not let down by the reveal. I don't feel let down. Do you feel let down?
Oh, no. I mean, I think if the reveal would have happened in the ring, I might have felt a little more let down because of his stature, but knowing who the man behind the mask is, seeing the way he's portrayed, he looks about 30 pounds heavier, just pure muscle, than he looked when I was looking up his matches online. And the head to toe covered in blood thing, like, just to kind of transition to what happened next, which was actually the match between Phoenix and Mill. You see Mill come out, and he's got this cool headdress. It's like feathers shooting up behind his head, and he's got this mask on, and he walks out, and he's not wearing a shirt, and he looks like this big beast. And you realize this guy looks like a complete bitch when you compare him to Matanza.
Yeah. I'm sorry, and I would never say this to, Mil Muertes' face, obviously. I'm in the comfort of my recording room here.
Like, we've seen Mill beat the hell out of people before. Matanza murders.
Yeah.
That's like the difference between playing with a kitchen set and a steak knife.
Exactly. It's just Matanza... absolutely merciless, whereas Mil Muertes, you can almost say, is merciful when you see what Matanza does to people.
Oh my god. I mean, Muertes, he might metaphorically kill people in that sense where, like, you'll be like, oh, he killed him, but the other person's still breathing afterwards. When Matanza gets through with you, there's no life left. It's just Matanza, and he's standing there with your arm in one hand and your lifeless corpse in the other, and you just don't know what happened because you're not alive anymore.
Exactly. I mean, look, if Mil Muertes actually took a page out of Matanza's playbook, maybe Phoenix wouldn't be such a pain in his ass.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta be honest about it.
He'd probably be even more of a pain in the ass because then he would keep resurrecting. But...
I mean, that's true, but I mean, has he ever really tried to, like, fully put down Phoenix like a Matanza style?
I feel like maybe the powerbomb through the building was his version of that, but it still wasn't as brutal as what Matanza does.
No, see, here's the thing, Ashton. Mil Muertes confronts me. Yeah, I may piss or shit myself. I mean, no doubt about it. Matanza confronts me. I don't even give him the satisfaction. I kill myself before he kills me. I know I'm screwed. I was going to
say, do you just curl up in the fetal position and hope he decides to finish you quickly?
No, see, I don't even give him the... No, I off myself because he is so terrifying. I'm like... I can do it my way and go out with a little bit of dignity, or I can have my arm ripped off like it's a chew toy and just be beaten with my own limb until I lose consciousness and then probably eaten. Yeah, later. And, that's just the decision process. Not really that hard. I mean, that to me is the difference between Matanza and Muertes. I think people would want to take a chance with Muertes. You see Matanza, nah, man, it's game over. You just take solace in the fact that you actually have a will prepared and then you hope for the best. Just crazy to me. But yeah, and I mean, then you look at this match, Fenix and Muertes. And again, if you want to keep talking about Matanza and doing those parallels, here's the thing. This main event was crazy.
Yeah.
All right? No question about that. I mean, Fenix got the shit beat out of him. But here's the thing, and Ashton said this earlier. I'm just going to say it a little bit differently. One thing to get the shit beat out of you and still have a pulse, and then it's another thing to not have a pulse at all. And that was Muertes' mistake, is he kept leaving Fenix with a pulse. And that's the problem. That's why he lost this match. Because he couldn't go that extra level. Nobody can, because he's the man of 1,000 lives. King Cuerno certainly couldn't before him. And now tonight, despite the fact he busted him open again, tore the mask slightly again, it was really feeling like grave consequences. Although, I'd say what made me pop the most was seeing Fenix turn it around on Mill, tear his mask, and you kind of, see his hair going on. I love the blend, too, of the monster and the man with Muertes with a half-torn mask. And just the back and forth, I mean, super kicks, just trying to take Mill down. I tried to balance once on the guardrail, Mill shoves him off, but then he tries it again and he gets the splash. I mean, Fenix gave everything. He brought the fight to Muertes. I thought this was another great matchup. As good as Grave Consequences? Maybe not, but this is still another excellent chapter in their rivalry, dude.
Yeah, this was... I don't know if I would say this was on the same level as Grave Consequences, but I think it was better than their death match.
Yeah, I would agree.
And that's not me saying the death match wasn't that good, because it was still crazy and awesome and super intense, but I feel like this was just a notch above it.
I'm just starting to believe, and this is where people will see where I definitively stand. I'm starting to wonder if these guys can even have a bad match together, because it's just, I love the story they tell.
I mean, I feel like maybe they would have a subpar cage match if you wanted to limit them to that.
I mean, yeah, if you really wanted to push it, if you really wanted to push their possibilities, yeah. But then again, knowing Lucha Underground, they might have a finish where it's Mill just out of anger is just going to throw Fenix through the cage, and Fenix will just be glad to be alive and the fact that he won.
Yeah.
Just crazy. And you know what? That's another thing. When I talk about the pacing and how Lucha Underground knows when to give you what it needs to give you, timing is everything. I said it about Puma and Mundo. Between the months off between seasons, which I think does wonders for making matches seem fresh again, and then even when you're back in production, you're back, shooting and showing the episodes, keeping people apart, because again, this is episode 8, the first time Mundo and Puma interacted. You could say the same for Fenix and Muertes. They had their interactions, staring at each other, this and that, but this is their first really physical in-ring interaction of the season, plus all the time off, between seasons again. And yeah, this match and the way they told it, Fenix is getting the crap beat out of him, it works, because it still feels fresh to me, especially with the world title at stake. So I feel like they did everything right here, dude. This was a phenomenal effort. And that's just what I've gotten used to from Lucha Underground.
Yeah, I love this show.
So good. I mean, Fenix had to use a chair, on Muertes just to try and equalize him. And then, I mean, there were points, because I feel like this is after he got his mask torn off and he was bleeding a little bit in Muertes, that he just pops up and gets another spear. The way this guy got, is just booked as a monster. The way he's portrayed. He is a monstrosity. In fact, I'll say it. If it wasn't for the legitimate credentials, I'd say Muertes looks more impressive than Brock Lesnar. This guy is just absolutely animalistic, and I love it, though.
Yeah.
So good.
That's, I know, back in the day when WCW was around, there were always dream matches, I want to see Sting versus The Undertaker, or, Goldberg versus Steve Austin. I think Mill versus Brock or Cage versus Brock are a couple of big dream matches that I've got right now.
Oh, totally.
But I don't want them to happen in WWE. I want them to happen in Lucha Underground, because then I know it'll be written properly and actually compelling.
Exactly. I mean, and that's what makes it... See, and that's what's so funny, right? Because Lucha Underground... I'm not even saying that they don't have exceptional in-ring content, because clearly they do. but I don't even really feel like they need it. I mean, it's great that they have it, but their writing is so on point, dude.
It's like with Lucha Underground, if their in-ring product was the exact same level of quality as WWE's, they would still be 100,000 times better because of the stories.
Exactly.
And their character work that they do.
I mean, to me, I'm sorry, and I know I'm probably going to sound a little bit pompous here, so forgive me, guys, but I think Lucha Underground closes the book on the debate. You know, what's more important, you know, in a wrestling product? Is it your in-ring aspect, or is it how you write? It's clearly how you write. Because I think some of these performers could go back to the territory days where a fireman's carry, you know, just takeover was like a finisher, and I'd still be like, best match ever, masterpiece. Because the writing leading up to this is just so fucking good, man.
Yeah.
So good. Oh my god, these two, you know what, and I'll say, because we've already done like little WWE parallels and this and that, to me, Fenix and Muertes are Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. They're destined to do this forever. So long as he's the man of 1,000 lives, Muertes is the man of 1,000 deaths, you're destined to collide forever, for whatever reason. He could spill coffee on Mil Muertes, you know, pulling a Jericho cane there, and I would be like, oh my god, you have to feud, you have to throw it out. Like, I will look for any reason to see these two get back in the ring together. They are just that good. And notice I'm doing all this raving, and Johnny Mundo isn't even in the equation, which shows you that Lucha Underground is the best thing on the fucking planet.
The last time we saw Johnny Mundo was in a backstage segment that he had a really quick little appearance in and then left, and the whole thing was more about Puma and him punching through the bag.
Exactly. But I mean, you look at a main event like that, I mean, and that's the thing, because I've often wondered, oh, you know, if Johnny was to up and leave, where would I be with Lucha Underground? I'd still love it 110%. Like, for me, it isn't even, like, don't get me wrong, it's about Johnny Mundo. I will never make any bones about that, but it's not just about him. Right. I feel like in WWE that was the case.
I feel like you could get Johnny Mundo, like, once a month, and even though it would hurt because you would want more, it would be just enough to satiate you.
Yeah, exactly, because everybody, and let me just say this, because I think this main event deserves it, and I respect both Fenix and Muertes so much, and I've been saying it a lot on Twitter lately. I just have to say this, and then we can move on if you want to, because I don't want to take up too much time. This whole roster is a family. Like, they work so hard, harder than anybody. You got the writers that they love this, and they're passionate about it. They believe in this so much, and if you look at the reactions from the talent from Aztec Warfare, like how crazy the crowd was and how honored they were to be there, I'm so happy for these guys, because you look at a main event like this needs to be seen by more people. I look at every apathetic person with WWE or WrestleMania, your answer's right here. And it's so funny that, like, when you mention Lucha Underground to certain people, like, they'll give you a look. Not that, you know, insult or anything. They just don't know. They just, like, what are you talking about? This needs more exposure. And yes, I know that they got renewed and they're doing great right now. I'm hoping that they close something with Netflix. Because you get on Netflix, it's a game changer. I think Netflix is the one that needs Lucha because it would fit in.
And I think that deal has got to be closing in too on finalizing. And I'm so excited for when it does, because like one of the biggest obstacles that they had for getting season 2 greenlighted was the financing. And if they get the financing that Netflix would provide, I think season 4's announcement would not be far behind.
No, certainly not. And here's the thing. For me, I'm going to be honest. I'm a softie, all right? When I see things this beautiful and this wonderful, Lucha Underground, they have off seasons. They love their talent. Again, they took a big photo with everybody together. You see Chris DeJoseph, Chris Roach on Twitter saying, oh, you know, we're so honored to work with these people. They're amazing. There is a genuine love and camaraderie there. I want the good guys to fucking win one. Yeah. Because they are the good guys in this story, people. I'm not saying WWE's the villain. I love so many people in WWE. There is no villain here. I'm just saying.
I think it's safe to say that like the talent isn't ever really the villain for the most part. It really is the structure over there.
Yeah, it's the structure over there. Look how many injuries we're dealing with in WWE, dude. I mean, it's crazy. Now, can we have injuries in the show?
I mean,
absolutely.
Injuries are I don't want to say they're freak accidents, because when they happen at that frequency, in that sort of dense of a time period, it can't be just a fluke. There's got to be some kind of a pattern over there that's causing it. But even with the injuries, even if you take guys like Rollins and Cena and Cesaro, and even if you want to say Daniel Bryan, even if you would magically be able to wave a wand and bring those guys back, I still wouldn't have faith in the company to write it correctly.
Exactly.
That's the issue.
You're talking about a promotion, Lucha Underground, knows what they have in their talent. And can I just say that there is a bit of bitterness in me when I say that, because they've been using Johnny Mundo in 2 seasons better than I feel like WWE did most of his career. And that's just me.
I think the
honest.
only time that the WWE ever really got him right was that feud with Sheamus.
Yeah, I completely agree, because I'm like, okay, now we're doing it. Lucha Underground's been killing it with him. They kill it with their women. And when I went on the big Twitter rant after Fastlane, one of the things I said was, you never heard Lucha Underground say, let's have a luchadora revolution or whatever. They just picked up the guns on episode 1 and they fucking had one.
Yeah, that's what it is. On episode 1, literally the second match in Lucha Underground history, Son of Havoc versus Sexy Star. And how did Son of Havoc win? By cheating, because that's what heels do.
Exactly. The writing's on point. Because they have off-season, the talent is free to do whatever they want. You want to do a PWG show? Do a PWG show. You want to spend time with your family? Guess what? You're human. You get to spend time with your family.
And the great thing is, as the company grows, and some of those little freedoms, like being able to work other companies, might be going away because they might be touring and needing guys to be more kind of full-time talents, you can bet your ass they're also going to be getting paid more to match it.
Exactly. And why did I even broach this? Why am I even talking about this? For one simple reason. Because you look at a main event like tonight, you look at an episode like tonight, and it just really drives home the fact, and if this drives home the fact, Aztec Warfare next week is going to leave a crater in the fucking earth to make the point. That more people need to see this show, and they need to see the minds behind it, because what is the one thing we always say? Vince doesn't care. These people don't care. Here are people who care.
Vince cares about one thing and one thing only, and that is the bottom line.
Exactly. And we ain't talking
Vince
Stone
cares
Cold
about
people.
the almighty dollar.
Exactly.
The red versus the black, the bull versus the bear. Vince wants to bring in that profit. And you know what? Even if Vince McMahon as a singular entity wanted to produce more compelling content, which I highly question, he has a board of directors to answer to, and they're going to want that almighty dollar.
Exactly.
That's the beautiful thing about Lucha Underground, is it is a product written by wrestling fans, produced by a movie producer, directed by movie directors and reality TV show directors and writers and stuff. And it's everybody that is there has a role, and they're all exceptional at the roles that they are in, and it makes for the single best TV show. Notice I didn't say the word wrestling in that. The single best TV show on the planet today.
Without question. I mean, guys, to me it comes down to this. As long as Lucha Underground keeps producing this kind of quality with their program, it could be Johnny Mundo that comes and goes. It could be anybody that walks in and out of the door.
It's funny, too, because I feel like for the
guys.
longest time, we were like Lucha Underground versus NXT, Wednesday Night Wars, let's see what show's better. And eventually, there's no comparison. There's no comparing those two shows. It's like, it's like trying to compare the frickin' Rugrats with Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's just like, sure, they're both quality shows, but when you watch a season of one and a season of the other, you don't even need to say which one's better. It's just kind of an inherent thing. It's just one is in a completely different league than the other. And we've gotten to the point now that we're, rather than the Wednesday Night Wars and we're trying to see what shows better between Lucha Underground and NXT, it's what shows better between Lucha Underground and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And last week, I thought Lucha Underground ran away with it, and now this week, I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. closed the gap a little bit, but I still give the edge to Lucha Underground.
Unbelievable. I mean, dude, really, when it came down to Lucha Underground and NXT, it really just started to look like, and it still is,
a slaughter.
A slaughter.
It was a Matanza.
It was a Matanza. Yeah, that's right, because we verbed the shit out of his name. And
no,
that's just
literally
it.
The word Matanza is Spanish for slaughter.
That's right. That's right. And it just, I mean, it reminds me of that Simpsons clip where Homer, I think, looks like a clown or whatever, and he's beating the crap out of a mascot, and the kid's crying. It's like, stop, he's already dead. And that's what I think about with Lucha Underground and NXT. Like, it's just consistently punching NXT in the face, and then it tears its limb off, and then I'm like, okay, you win. God, stop. It's just so good. I mean, guys, you look at the humanity, with the people that work, again, the love, the togetherness, the passion. I feed off that shit. These are the most quality people, both talent-wise and just everything else I think you will ever see, both on TV and behind it, making the magic happen. They deserve all the success in the world, and let me tell you, don't you fuck this up, Netflix. All right, I'm loving you right now, okay? I'm like Narcos and everything, that's the shit, but you need to close this, man. You need to King Lucha Underground right there, so I could do that, and I could support them this way, because this show's too good for all of us not to be giving everything to make sure this succeeds. Because I don't know what we'd do without the show. Me and Ashton talk about it. We don't know what we'd do without this show. It's just, this show has really kind of defined this podcast, because if this is a podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, this is a show made for wrestling fans, by real wrestling fans. Unreal.
That's exactly, yeah. This is the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans. Lucha Underground is the best television show made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans.
And if you don't believe me, I mean, look at what happened after this match. Because first of all, Mill didn't even get beat dominantly. He got caught. He lingered a little bit too much on the flatliner. Yep. Phoenix caught him in a pinning combination. I think you said it was like a jackknife cover. And yeah, gets the 3 count, wins the title. What does the heel do? Heel says, all right, well, you won this round, but we got to get it off of you. So she puts Phoenix at number 1 in Aztec Warfare. Mill comes out number 20. And, I mean, that's just how you keep the ball rolling. That's how you keep the momentum going. Because now Aztec Warfare, which was originally going to be the number 1 contendership, and I feel like you and I were a little bit bummed about it. Like, we accepted it, but we were like, oh, man, it should have been for the title. Like, Lucha Underground doesn't fucking know that. Come on, man. And then they do it. So, really, I almost should slap it should have been for the world. Shut up! Because they knew it. They fucking knew it, and they did it, but they did it on their terms. And I love that. I love the confidence and the pacing, and they have their pieces in place, and Cueto's waiting in the wings, and everybody's thinking that they're going to be the man, and what is even going to happen next week? Like, just not even fair, people. Like, I know we're still a ways away, both from WrestleMania and TakeOver Dallas, but I gotta be honest, in this moment, relative to that, I mean, Aztec Warfare blows it out of the water. This is all I can think about. I mean, it's all I can think about. I love this show. Oh my god. Is there anything else you have to say?
A little, just the tiniest bit disappointed that we didn't get a post-credit scene this week. It seems like we're like 3 weeks running now without one, at least.
That is true. Yeah.
But other than that, just take it home, man.
Yeah. I mean, just one segment left here. High spots, low shots. Oh my god. My low shot's Chavo. I know that's probably weak sauce because it's probably somebody who had a worse night, but he got left by the Cruiser. He has no more backing. I wonder what that means for his fate in Mexico, since that was kind of his around-the-clock protection. And, yeah, Tahano closed in on him, and he got his hands on him, and that was that. So, yeah, Chavo's my low shot.
Yeah. My low shot's Catrina.
Okay.
I mean, she's literally watching her empire crumble in front of her eyes.
Yeah, lost all the gold tonight.
Yeah. And
like,
that's why I didn't want to make it just Mill, because, only if you look at the entire faction of death, Mill and Katrina both felt pain when Mill lost the title, but Mill didn't feel jack shit when the Disciples lost. He just got to beat the hell out of him and take his anger out.
Exactly.
But Katrina felt that pain too, so and now we know that she's feeling the pain of possibly regret for not, choosing to stay on Phoenix's side when she kind of corralled him and seduced him last season.
Yeah, man. Katrina, I mean, first the portrait, and now we see this conflict of emotions. I mean, they are really doing wonders with that character this season. I honestly, And again, just really elevating Lucha Underground. I think Katrina is one of the most fascinating characters on television, period. It's just unbelievable what they're doing with her. I just really can't wait to see more revelations come about her. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But that leaves my high spot, man. And guys, it's not as clear cut as you might think it is, because people might think, oh, well, obviously it's this guy because this, and it's not that easy. Oh my God, I can't remember the last time I struggled this much with high spots and low shots. But man, you know what? I know what I'm gonna do. My high spot's Dario Cueto, because he decided it's time to strike, and he's getting ready to bring warfare, and they don't even know it. So while everybody else is combating inside the temple and they know everybody's business, Cueto is that ace in the hole, man. He's that big question mark for everybody. Nobody knows that he's bringing warfare. And the element of surprise is everything. So I think Cueto, because he's actually stacking the deck and they don't even know it, he's my high spot, because tonight he just pulled the trigger and said, all right, let's go. So Cueto's my high spot.
Yep.
All right, who's your high spot?
Well, you took kind of more of a low-key tactical approach, so I'm just going to blather you over the head with it. My high spot's Fenix.
Yeah.
I mean, new Lucha Underground champion, the first ever two-time Lucha Underground champion, and now the first ever person in Lucha Underground to hold two different championships ever.
Yes.
He's like the crown jewel of Lucha Underground right now, which is weird to say, because for the longest time I really did feel like that was Prince Puma, but at this point, I feel like that torch has kind of been snatched out of Puma's hands by Fenix.
Yeah, man. Unbelievable, the role reversals here. Because, yeah, I was the same as you. I thought Prince Puma sat upon the throne. And then Fenix comes in and he's like, no. And kicks him off of it. And Fenix has just made his own legacy happen. So, man, dude, crazy stuff. All right. Is there anything else you have to say about tonight's episode of Lucha Underground?
Just that I can't wait to watch it again.
Yeah, guys, again, I reiterate.
And
at least just, yeah.
I'm losing my mind. The fact that we have to wait 6 days and 23 hours to watch another one, and that Aztec Warfare is going to happen next week, and that we're going to see all these crazy forces come into play and collide. It's just going to be incredible.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Yeah. Guys, I just want to reiterate before I do the usual outro. I mean, obviously, if you're listening to this, you do watch Lucha Underground, so I'm not going to say people watch it. No, I'm actually going to say what should be said. If you have friends, if you have family that maybe you watch wrestling with WWE Raw or whatever, just, take them for a swim. They may not like it, and I'll respect that, but if they do like it, that's just one more person. One more person that knows about the greatness of this show, because I'm telling you, this is the hardest working crew I think I've ever seen in my life. From the talents to the writers to the people working the camera for these crazy cinematics. Everybody's working hard towards it because they believe in it so much. And we as the believers, I mean, I believe in this wholeheartedly. And I have not felt an optimism or a joy about a wrestling product like I have for this in God knows how long. Probably the Ruthless Aggression era that I grew up in, because you're a kid and you look at things with that wide-eyed, kind of wonder. And Lucha Underground brings me back to that, because here I am, a 24-year-old male, and I feel like I'm reduced to a little kid every single week because it's just so freaking good, people. Yeah. So if you have family, if you have friends, I got to give a shout out to Mark Schoeneman. He said, like, I'm busy during Aztec Warfare, so what's he doing? He's going to introduce his 3 friends to it. That's how it's done, people. Like, spread the word. And keep going to Netflix. If they haven't, closed the deal yet, just be like, please make sure you get something on the table, because I want to see these guys succeed, and I know we all do. So I just want to say that, because this crew working behind this just in every direction absolutely deserves it. And with that said, guys, I'm done preaching to you. This has been Lucha Underground. This has been TWitWoW. The best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my co-writer and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. Ashton, what question do you have for our subscribers this week?
Who is going to walk out of episode 9 as your Lucha Underground champion?
Guys, you don't even have to ask me that question. I'm hoping to give you one hell of a legendary mark out next week, but I'd love to know your thoughts. Is Fenix going to go to distance and retain, or do they have other plans for him entirely? Is Puma going to regain the gold? Is Pentagon going to swoop in and take the championship?
Dude, we didn't even mention them when we were listing people that were going to be in Aztec Warfare. How is this not a 30-man battle royal?
Dude, I'm not even going to get started on that. We'll be here another hour. Guys, get to it in the comment. Like, I want to know what your thoughts are, because I would love to see some discourse take place. Take the conversation over to TWitWoW. That is, pro wrestling is taking over Facebook. The Lucha Underground fan base grows more rabid, more ravenous, and larger by the week. Aztec Warfare should be something very special. If you want to go join the people on TWitWoW to celebrate it, go right ahead. I mean, you'll fit right in. But hey, if you're thinking, you know what, don't really care for that, we have a TWitWoW subreddit, and, you know, all our TWitWoW content is going to be on there, and you know, members of the TWitWoW subreddit can create threads of their own on all things related to pro wrestling. I should also mention that we do have a TWitWoW Facebook page. You can like and share the content there, you know, do whatever you like there. And if you want to get with us on the ground level, if you want to see me potentially lose my shit or just praise Lucha Underground or just interact with you guys or wrestlers or whatever, and you want to see Ashton's, you know, wit come into play, Twitter is the best way to do it. We are both on Twitter. I am at John_TWitWoW. Ashton is at apond404. That's the letter A. Pond, the body of water, Pond 404. Follow us both there. And we will see you again for our NXT review, where it will be American Alpha versus the Vaudevillains. The winner gets an opportunity at the Revival at TakeOver Dallas. So who is going to be one step closer to calling themselves NXT Tag Team Champions? You'll get your best coverage here on TWitWoW. Be sure to check us out after the show ends. And yeah, I mean, until then, tune in. Peace out.